I'm gonna start another recording, and we got more hands up. I'm gonna go with Ezzy.
Okay, so this kind of goes hand in hand with what Nazir was saying. And I know we're beating a dead horse. It's going to be the last passage that I read for 519. But I think it brings somewhat clarity to the ranking and why our righteousness, or if your righteousness exceeds that of the Pharisees and the Sadducees, then you'll reign in the kingdom of Shemayim. So in Matthew 13:18, it says, "You then hear the parable of the sower. When anyone hears the word of the rain and does not understand it, then the wicked one comes and snatches away what was sown in his heart. This is that sown by the wayside, and that sown on rocky places. This is he who hears the word and immediately receives it with joy. Yet he has no root in himself, but is short-lived, and when pressure or persecution arises because of the word, immediately he stumbles. And that sown among the thorns is he who hears the word, and the worry of this age and the deceit of riches choke the word, and it becomes fruitless. And that sown on the good soil is he who hears the word and understands it, who indeed bears fruit and yields some 100-fold, some 60, some 30. So I think that's in line with how you can be deceived if you're least in the kingdom now, or the city of Israel now, or in this walk of knowing Yahuwah. It's easy to be deceived, as they were deceived back in the days of the Pharisees and the Sadducees, because they were knowers of Torah, so they can manipulate it to make their own traditions, their own doctrines. But then in verse 31, it says, "Another parable he put before them, saying, the rain of the Shemayim is like a mustard seed, which a man look and sowed in his field, which indeed is less than all the seeds, but when it is grown, it is greater than the plants and becomes a tree. So the birds of the Shemayim come and dwell in its branches." And then it goes on to say, "Another parable he spoke to them, the rain of the Shemayim is like leaven, which a woman took and hid in 3 measures of meal until all was leavened. Yahusha said all this to the crowds in parables, and he did not speak to them without a parable, so that what was spoken by the prophet might be filled, saying, I shall open my mouth in parables, I shall pour forth what has been hidden from the foundation of the world." Because, the ones who were teaching would manipulate it, even as they do today, for you to believe whatever it is that they're preaching, and taking away from the fruits of Yahuwah's word, and Yahusha's, word is, and what the fruit that it bears, rather than mixing it with tradition and with their own doctrine, making it fruitless. So I think that's the distinction that it's making in chapter 5, verse 19 and 20, of exceeding that. If you are a doer and a hearer and a teacher, and you're keeping it in line with the word and not using manipulation, then of course you're going to reign in the Shemayim, but that would be exceeding what the hypocrites were doing.
And would you say that those that are in and growing, there's room to grow and to be ignorant of some things and accidentally teaching wrong doctrine?
My thing always was, in this walk, I don't want to share, until I have a full understanding.
That's wise.
So,
and how long have you been in this walk?
This is my second, so I would say 2 years, but this is my first practice of the feast time. So I'm very new.
Would you say within the 2 years that there's something you changed your mind on within the 2 years? You thought you were right about something, and
oh yes.
And did you teach people that thing that you thought was right?
No.
Okay, you kept it to yourself.
Yes.
You never taught any. Okay, well, good for you. That's great.
Yeah, being in this fellowship, I've opened up more, because I've gotten a deeper understanding to the point where things have been confirmed within the assembly, to where I can share and witness. Yeah. But just being out, unless I know that I know, like it's in the scripture, unless I have a deeper understanding, I don't share, because of what this parable says, because of what, Yahuwah says in his word. I don't want to be the least. So don't even hold me to that. I will be okay with just being a worker and a servant, I don't want to be the teacher, even though
Did you go from Jesus to Yahusha right away?
right away, no.
I mean, I'm just saying, were there any other names that you used in between?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, you're special, Ezzy. Then I can't ask you any questions. It doesn't relate to you. I'm trying to find something out of you, but you ain't
Well,
giving me
I mean,
nothing.
I had Yahweh. I did have Yahweh
Okay.
before I made it to Yahusha and Yahuwah. So yes, there was.
So there we go. It's just a small example, nothing used. But I'm
Yeah,
just saying, like, I think what Nazir is getting to, and what I think I'm understanding him is, you know, the whole point about being a believer and some being weak in the faith and some being strong in the faith is that there's different levels of knowledge and wisdom.
right.
And we have zeal. Many of us will have very zealous, very excited, and we might in our walk most likely will teach something we probably shouldn't have been
Misleading.
teaching,
Yeah.
and later on we'll find out we were wrong, and then we got to correct it. So, and I think Nazir is saying those folk, and I agree, are getting into the kingdom because they're doing it with sincerity and with true faith. There's no ill intention behind it. Versus verse 20 of 5.
I
Anyway,
agree.
we're beating a dead horse, but just wanted to. I appreciate it, Ezzy. Amy.
Hi. I just want I just wanted to say, in the verse where it speaks about Yochanan, John, being, what does it say, the verse again? Sorry, can you read it again? The one where you spoke about Yochanan being
Oh,
greater. Sorry, can you just read it again? Because I haven't got anything at hand. I have to come off this page and go on.
let me pause.
Sorry.
Go ahead. Matthew
Truly,
11:11.
yeah, where it says, "Truly I say to you, among those born of women, there has not risen one greater than Yochanan the Immerser, yet the least one in the reign of the Shamayim is greater than he." On this bit here, it's the least one. When you translate the least, I think it's talking about children. Because, when Yahusha said the children, when they tried to rebuke the children from Yahusha, and he brought them forward and raised them up and said, the kingdom of Shamayim is of such, as in these are leaders, in the Shamayim. That's what I believe as well. But I think that's what that refers to as well. I could be wrong, but I think it could be that the children is what it's talking about here in this least, because this least has got different meanings. If least can mean to be little, to be small, to be made small or small. And migros in Greek, migros is migros, like a child, like a small person. So you can check it out if you want. But so that bit on that one is talking about a child, but then I need to study about in the Hebrew what this Matthew 5:19 least is, if it's the same translation, because I think it was it Rod earlier who said it might be a translation thing that we need to look at.
Yeah, we found out there were two different words for least. So there were two different Greek words. Matthew 5:19 had a different word for least, and then you're pointing out the mikros, which is in the Matthew 11.
Yeah, migros, and then the other one was alakitos, which means rank. So obviously that's talking about in the Matthew 11:11 talking about something different. So that's talking about children.
Right.
So that's good, because I just worked that out. Yeah. That one's talking about children and as least, but obviously Matthew 5 is talking about rank. So that's interesting, because then we can sort of kind of get our minds a bit better and understanding.
Yeah, that's what Rod was like. There's gotta be a difference in the word.
That's what I've been doing.
There was a difference in the word.
I'm sweating because when you study, and I don't know if it's the way I speak. It sounds really common, but I'm really hot because I've been studying. It's like the fire of Yahuwah. I don't know whether you guys have had it. Do you guys get it? You get overheated when you're studying.
Probably somebody in the group does. Look, Ezzy's nodding her head yes.
Yeah, it's I'm like, oh my gosh, what is this?
Let's go ahead and end the study. We're gonna end the study at this point. Yeah, I think I'm gonna end the study here. Nazia, I see your hand is up, but I don't wanna,
Well, I hope that helps anyway. I wasn't being rude to Nazi or.
No, that was great. I appreciate it.
No, before, but I wasn't being rude to Nazi or anyone who's new because I can't.
No, nobody's offended here. We're all good. We did great. We did great
Plenty
today.
of times I've said things when I was in my walk. I got a big mouth, so I've done loads of mistakes.
No problem. So let me just stop the recording here. So I'm just gonna say shalom for now. I'll be breaking these videos into parts because it was long. I think we almost did 2 hours. So shalom. This was a video on Kingdom of Elohim versus Kingdom of Heaven, Kingdom of Shamayim.